Hello, ye tarnished fools. My name is Jack, and today I propose to you a new idea of mine. This is going to be the first video in a new series that I will call the Perfect Boss Fight. It doesn't showcase boss fights that are perfect, but instead showcases the ins and outs of a boss fight so that you can perfect it. Well, mostly perfect it. It'll also show tactics to fighting the boss and making it easy on yourself, whether through cheese or totally lactose intolerant means. And on the first episode, we'll be going over the first boss of Elden Ring. That's right, the grafted Scion. Scion, Skion, Skyon, the weirdo spider thing. This boss is the first obstacle that new players to Elden Ring will run into, because it can only be fought once without dying before it becomes totally unavailable. I'm not sure if the rest of the game has this boss anywhere else. I haven't made it that far in, but let's be real. How hard can this boss really be in the first place? I will also say that I'll be fighting these bosses as they naturally are discovered, so I won't be purposefully over leveling or anything else along those lines, as reaching the damage soft caps early makes a lot of boss fights very trivial. So sure, I will spoil all of these videos and say that over leveling is a way to deal with bosses. This video will be sectioned off into 3 categories, excluding the intro. The first category will be the path to the boss, just because it can be difficult to get to them on somebody's first run. The second category will be the boss moves and what they can do. It'll also include how to dodge the attacks. The third category involves how to fight them with certain tactics that I figure out or procure myself. And finally, the Fextra Life wiki does have sections detailing all of the boss moves and how to counter them, but I won't be reading off of that. The only reason I say that is because if any of the information that I have obtained sort of crosses over with that, it's not plagiarism. And now that the basics are out of the way, let's get into it. The first thing anyone and everyone will do is create a character. This is my first Souls-like game, so I'm not sure if the doctrine still applies to this game since it isn't Dark Souls, but I've been told that I have to make all of my characters the ugliest possible or else I won't be good at the game. So I certainly go for ugly mode using the similar face feature, which makes it really easy to do. Finding the arena isn't really difficult. All you have to do is leave the initial spawn area, then head down the stairs ahead of you on the wooden platform. Then you turn left down the stairs and it's a straight shot. The first thing upon entering the boss arena is that you actually have to walk pretty far into the arena to trigger the fight. It seems like this boss was meant to catch you off guard. Well, it kinda worked. But you can see the silhouette of the boss jumping into the boss arena in the background, behind the big statue, so you won't get totally caught off guard. The boss itself isn't all too difficult. If we take a look at its moves, we can see probably its second most dangerous attack is where it's So today we'll be going over the first boss of Elden Ring, the Soldier of Godrick. That's right, and I'm very thankful that this boss is actually considered a side boss technically. That means you don't have to beat this boss to progress the main story according to one of my close friends. And he's a pretty trustworthy guy, so I'll believe him. First things first, in order to get to this boss, you'll have to start in the second opening area? You reach this area by, admittedly, you have to die to the first actual boss, then you come to this area and you're here now. Then after waking up in the stranded graveyard location, immediately walk forward to a weird ghost dude sitting in a pretty slick looking chair. I'm not sure the lore ramifications of this, but if he isn't the boss, then who really cares? Make sure to jump down onto a ledge just below the guy sitting in the chair. Then here, in the Cave of Knowledge, which is an apropos name for this series, you just have to follow the path straight forward. Make sure to read the tutorial messages too and do it very carefully. Even after I read through them, I had a problem with locking on and two-handing or going back to one-handing. The game doesn't make it extremely obvious how to do these things, so I just wanted to make sure you knew to keep that in mind. Upon entering the Wiz Khalifa fog gate, the Soldier of Godrick will be standing on the far side of this pretty moist looking area. I'm not sure if getting your socks wet will hinder this boss fight at all, but let's check a look at Mr. of Godrick's moves. The first move that he used on me was an overhead slash or over the shoulder slash, which can be followed up by an upward swing using all of his momentum. This attack can actually hit you twice if you aren't careful, and frankly, I'm not sure how to dodge it consistently. It seems like the game might be glitched or something like that. You can also parry this attack. I wasn't able to consistently parry it either. The animations seemed to randomly speed up or slow down, so I got lucky a few times. I will admit I did do it 3 times in a row by accident, and it felt pretty awesome. Another attack that he can do is a horizontal swing that has a wide slashing radius. At the very start of this move, he can actually take a step and spin around to follow your pathing around him, just in case you tried to walk around the attack. That's pretty unfair, all things considered. I don't quite know how to dodge this one either. I got lucky quite a few times fighting him, and I managed to roll through this attack a couple of times. Pretty nice when it works. An attack that caught me by surprise is his charging thrust attack. He'll charge up this attack and then step forward with a forward stabbing thrust. Simple as. This attack is probably the easiest to dodge, just don't jump into it. Oh, and make sure to spam dodge roll so that it can't catch you. I haven't been caught by it while I spam dodge roll, so it seems kind of broken. His final attack is a true overhead smash, where he charges up and slams straight downwards from an overhead strike. With this attack, he smashes his sword directly into the ground in front of him. If you get caught out by this one, it'll probably take up to half of your health depending on which armor set you started with, it seems. This attack is pretty simple to dodge too, considering it has a long windup, so just make sure to get out of the way. And when it comes to tactics and ways to beat the Soldier of Godrick, the best I can put it is endure. This fight is really tough, and not remembering or even knowing how to lock on makes it a lot harder. Like I said before, it's a good thing that this boss is technically just a side area and not mandatory to beat. There's no way any of the bosses can be harder than this. When it comes to melee, parrying and stabbing or smashing will be your best friends. You just have to take a lot of time to learn parrying properly, though I'm not entirely convinced that he can even be parried. It's probably possible, but I'm pretty good at video games and I couldn't get it down, so it seems a little improbable. The stronger the weapon, the better your chances to beat him. So if you want the best possible outcome with purely melee damage, make sure to two-hand your weapon and choose the class with the most strength or dexterity. Just don't choose Wretched, because 10s across the board may seem like a good starting point, but you probably won't be able to equip any of the better weapons until a lot longer into the game. Just go with, even Prisoner would be a better choice than Wretched. But be forewarned. You can't change your class later, so choose very wisely. If you do manage to parry the Soldier of Godrick, be ready to deal a lot of damage by stabbing him over and over. He'll fall to his knees, but the game didn't give me a prompt to do anything, so I just stood there looking like an idiot trying to figure out which button to press to capitalize on him falling down. One day I'll figure it out, but that does seem like a pretty big problem with the game. How am I supposed to know what button does what if it doesn't show me directly on the screen? It seems like I was doing some pretty generous damage. If that keeps up, then boss fights in the future will just be short-term endurance tests with a lot of damage. Using Sorcery during this fight makes it a lot easier than melee. In fact, if you walk into the boss fight and lock onto him, which thankfully I finally learned how to properly do after a lot of experimentation, you can spam your sorceries. I also learned that you can change your sorcery by pressing the up button on the D-pad on controller. Don't ask me how to do it on keyboard and mouse, because I was told never to play any Dark Souls game or Souls-like game with a keyboard and mouse control scheme because they all suck really bad. In as little as 4 or 5 casts, the Soldier of Godrick will die. Needless to say, Sorcery is pretty overpowered in this game, so this is a good choice. Incantations are like the pyromancies of this game. Or are they the miracles? I'm not sure. I think it also includes miracles and pyromancies at the same time. But I don't know. The incantations are more powerful than sorceries, honestly. The only issue is that you have to be closer with the Prophet class's pyromancy starting spell, Catch Flame. A nice catch? Haha. To it is that if you cast it again really quickly after the first, the second cast will come out faster. Use this to your advantage to exploit the Soldier of Godrick's slower attacks. All it should take is 3 flame kisses and you'll beat the Soldier of Godrick. And there aren't any other paths to playing the game at the moment, at least at the very start of the game, unless you count fists only. You see, fists only is playing through the game with only your fists and not having any weapons at all. I don't know how much damage that does actually, so I wouldn't recommend it. It sounds very difficult. I hope you enjoyed this first episode of the perfect boss fight. I certainly enjoyed making it. And of course, I can't end it all without saying that I appreciate your viewership. Please subscribe, share, add to a playlist, subscribe to a playlist, like to a share to a subscribe, playlist to watch later, all that funny stuff. My name was Jack, and it always has been, and remember, April Fools!
Just a humble bounty hunter, man.
Stay lucky.